This was an exceptionally brutal and bloody chapter where people were losing like whole limbs and things like that, but still very cool and drawn and depicted very well.
Toriko Gourmet number 87. Beyond 10.
What, you mean like 11?
Phytoncide. Well, hello, my brothers and sisters and gourmet hunters and gourmet corp members and just people who like to hang out here in the Nerd Nation. I, as always, am Jim, here to bring you another review on the awesome and insect-ridden and Phytoncide heavy tale of Toriko. Now, our last chapter saw us with the tides kind of turning against Tommy Rod as Toriko really just wound up using this Phytoncide that was secreted from his body through his gourmet cells as a self-defense mechanism, which pretty much paralyzes and renders insects harmless, right? And anyway, he used that to go in and keep himself from getting devoured by the insects. And when Tommy came in close within his range, he was able to go and just jack him up and certainly kind of keep the fight going in more of a close hand-to-hand combat style, which certainly is Toriko's forte. So that is how things left off, and things pick up right where we left off. And it's actually nice because we do get a vivid description of Phytoncide, and then I actually wound up looking it up too and making sure that I was pronouncing it right. The cool thing about it, and what all links back to the last chapter, is that whole like calm, tranquil forest and everything that was seen by Match. That's because Phytoncide is something that plants actually secrete in nature, in forests, on trees, things like that, to help protect them, because obviously there's no other way of them protecting themselves from being eaten and devoured by insects, right? So what this actually does is it creates kind of a calming effect, though, in humans, and that's why a lot of times you just sort of feel calm and tranquil when you're walking through the forest or the forest preserve or whatever, just kind of when you're in and about nature. It's just sort of that naturally calming feeling that there is. So it's almost like a pheromone that the trees give off, which is very, very cool, and I do like the explanation of it as well, because that's kind of what took Match to the other place, the other side, so to speak, for a few seconds, and kind of just made him imagine and feel like he was in this wonderful, tranquil setting, this forest, and really that's what Toriko wound up. It was a self-defense mechanism, but it was his will that ultimately made those gourmet cells go and use that type of insect repellent, so to speak. So, and what it ultimately did, though, is some of it wound up rubbing off on Match as well, and that's why the insects that were going to attack him pretty much just fell harmlessly to the ground. And again, I don't know if it just causes temporary paralysis or eventual death or what. But still very cool to go and see, and just how it was explained and how it was used within the chapter. Now, the once you get past that initial explanation, let me tell you, the rest of the chapter can basically just be summed up in like just gruesome and bloody, and Toriko and Tommy just beating the fuck out of each other, because that's what it is. It's very cool, and it's done extremely well as far as the depiction of the action, of the motion, and everything else. But boy, I tell you, this is a bloody manga, and it's cool. I mean, it doesn't bother me at all. But I mean, Toriko goes and first of all, he pisses off Tommy, because Tommy, being an insect himself, or some type of insect, it seems like, having those type of traits or tendencies, that smell that Toriko, that Phytoncide, is really just disgusting to him. It's the absolute worst smell in the world. So anyway, he winds up going and baring these teeth that we hadn't seen the whole time. He just sort of looked like this weird lipped creature, almost like a fish, I guess, his mouth, because we never showed any teeth. He winds up going and baring these teeth, and he's lightning fast, man. He goes and he's zipping around, and he bites a piece of Toriko's arm off. Looks like the back of his bicep towards his tricep. Tears a chunk of it off, And Toriko's thinking, man, I've really got to be able to go and pin him down, because he's too fast. He's moving around, he's too fast. And those fangs that he has they're like razor blades, man. They just take chunks of him. If he lets him get around him and get the best of him, obviously Tommy can wear him down just by taking out major chunks of his body and causing massive loss of blood and tissue and everything else. So Toriko goes and he's gonna go and gear up for he needs more. He needs more on his spike punch, because he's trying to throw his flying forks and his knives and everything else, and nothing's really hitting Tommy. Again, he's just kind of moving around. And when Tommy gets in close, though, he's got to be able to time it right, and he's got to be able to go and jack him up with something more powerful than what he used, the tenfold Kugi punch, right? So then he goes and he's like, wait, 11, 12. And he goes, he gets his hand ripped off from Tommy, right? So he's got a bloody stump. He hits Tommy with a dozen spiked punches, a 12-fold Coogie punch or whatever, with his freaking bloody stump, man. I mean, just nails it, and Tommy's like, he hit me with his freaking stump, you know? And, oh, man, it cracks me up. So Tommy goes and then realizes he's got to keep his distance again. So now he goes and he starts actually going and firing and spitting at Toriko, and what he's doing is he's using, he basically, he goes and he heats up to the point of boiling. He's not the only one that can shiver to create heat and create energy. He winds up going and spitting out some of his eggs, some of the larva eggs, and at such high speeds, and then when they hit Toriko, because they're boiling inside, they actually explode, and they're like these bug bombs, right? They're literally like these little bug bombers, and he's firing them at Toriko from a distance and hitting him and taking him out with those, you know? And it's just kind of this bloody, gruesome dance that they have going back and forth, man. And I don't know how Toriko's going to come out on top of this one, because he winds up going, and as we get towards the end of the chapter here, Toriko goes and he winds up actually, prior to him going and doing the 12-fold punch, he winds up losing, or maybe it's after that, I forget exactly. I think it might be, yeah, it might be right before that. But he winds up holding up his hand, and he's missing a finger, it looks like. He's missing a prong on the fork, but obviously we know his hand is the fork, right? And what happened is when Tommy was coming and zipping around and trying to bite him and everything like that, Toriko was able to actually go and take out his wings, right? And Tommy was pissed about that, you know? And that's when he comes in, he does the thing, he rips off his hand, the stump, hits him with the stump. But as the battle just kind of rages on over here, he goes and fires a bunch of these bug bombs at Toriko, and Toriko kind of blocks him with what he has left of his left arm, you know? And they explode, and you see Toriko in this page over here, and he's got, look, Toriko's got no frickin' arm, man. He lost an arm, okay? So Gourmet Cells better work hard to go and heal his punk ass up, because, again, he's missing his fucking arm. So anyway, he winds up going and coming. He's going to go and he's going to do a 13-fold spiked punch, right? As he goes and he winds up catching Tommy in the face and hitting him with that, and winds up being able to jack him up with the 13-fold spiked punch. And honestly, it'd be nice to go and see something else from Toriko. Now, it was nice to see in the BB Corn arc he kind of evolved a little bit, and as he was fighting against that other vice chef, I forget what his name is now for the life of me. But anyway, he was able to evolve his fork and knife to where he could actually fire them and use them as projectiles. But other than that, he's really got nothing. He's got the spiked punch, and it's cool and everything. It is, but all he's doing is adding more numbers to it. Is what's happened. I know it's become more powerful as he's evolved, but it would be nice to see him going and pulling out some different moves. And I don't even care if you call out the moves, man. Grab the guy and frickin' suplex his ass. I don't care. Punch him in the face. Give him a noogie. Give him a nut punch. Whatever, knife hand chop to the ball sack. Whatever you got to do, buddy, to win. That's the only thing. It's the only probably complaint or gripe that I could come up with. Because being almost 100 chapters into this and seeing that he has such a limited move set, I really do hope that he learns some new things and evolves. Again, obviously, at this point or very, very soon within the manga. So at the end of it, though, it looks like he winds up going and getting smashed up against, or maybe he smashes Tommy up against. They're both basically just ripping each other apart over here. Tommy looks effed up. Toriko's effed. I mean, there's blood everywhere, and again, just completely gruesome and cool at the same time, though, And then we see Teppei and of course Komatsu, and we haven't checked in with them in a couple of chapters, and there's like, whoa, the showcase is shattering. So the Gourmet Showcase, it looks like he smashed Tommy into it, and again, this gruesome, just back and forth battle was absolutely bloody, and probably could have been summed up in just like a 2-minute, review, and basically just talking about it. Toriko got his arm tore off, and prior to that though, when his hand just came off, he punched him with his stump, But again, man, there's blood flying everywhere, and it's looking like. I don't know if Tommy is a persistent character that's going to be around after this, after this arc, and I don't want to know either until I get to that point. But this looks like, kind of like one shall stand and one shall fall. Like I don't see both of them walking away from this. So hopefully things will wind up turning in the favor of Toriko very, very soon over here. So. Anyway, that's how the chapter ends off, though. Toriko's missing an arm, spewing blood from everywhere. Tommy's been beaten and hit by, approximately 37 35 of Toriko's spiked punches, and that's where we're left off and left hanging. My chapter question for you, though, brothers and sisters, what are your thoughts on just the sheer amounts and gallons of blood that Toriko and even some other characters in this manga actually, wind up losing? Is it too much? Do you think that it's just right? Do you think that it's done well to go and show some of the brutality of the series that actually is, that it's not just this kind of, for kids type series like, hey, I can get shot 15 times and put some bandages on me and I'm fine. Really, at the end of the day, a lot of these characters and creatures wind up coming out of this and not dying. There is some that do, but ultimately it's a very violent, bloody one. And I just want to know what your thoughts are on it. Again, do you think it's good? Do you think it's bad? Do you wish there was more? Do you wish there was less? Let me know what your answers are to that question in the comments down below. Feel free to hit the thumbs up, the like button if you should think that I deserve it, and subscribe if you haven't done so already. We will look forward to catching all of you in the next Fun Nation.
Remember to follow me on my other channels and Twitter and Facebook and Instagram too.